All right. How's everybody doing? We're going to get this popping. What's up, Ty? Nat?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Just making sure you can hear me.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? It's funny. I didn't have to tell you to wear black.
I honestly just put it on. I wasn't even thinking about, I wasn't going with the theme or anything.
Mm.
It just happened to be what it was.
I think
Let me
we
see.
should. Do we need to invite people? I don't even know if I want to really do that. Like,
No?
no, I don't. Because I feel like a lot of what this whole blackout thing was supposed to be is about not being self-serving and to just support the movement. So
Got you.
for tonight, I think whoever's in here is in here, and whoever sees it after the fact will see it after the fact.
Got you.
I don't even want to start with music. I just want to go right in.
Go right in.
Yeah.
Because you already know today, I was just like, I don't know.
We
I
are
had,
going to do this today. Yeah.
yeah, I honestly had so much to say. And now I don't have anything to say at all.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, I have my feelings, but I don't know. We can just proceed because I'm sure I will be inspired again once I hear you talk.
Gotcha. Well, the first thing that I wanted to say was I personally feel like I got duped today. Um, I feel like there was no real structure in what today was supposed to be. And so I just moved on my reactions instead of actually doing due diligence until after the fact. So today it's supposed to be a blackout Tuesday. I heard about this over the weekend and I thought I knew what to do, even though all the posts that I saw were very vague.
Mm-hmm.
And then around midnight, I started seeing everybody starting to black out their pages. And I was like, okay, so it's time. Let's black the
Right.
page.
Right.
Then we were told not to use certain hashtags because it was pushing down vital information for people looking for resources on Black Lives Matter. So then
Right.
we were told to take those hashtags off. I got yelled at by several people. And I'm like,
So
okay,
did
I
I.
didn't know.
So did I. So
um,
did
and so I took them down. I took the tags off. Then I was told that I have to repost those posts because um, the Instagram system and social media systems still count those posts towards the tag. So it was still pushing down vital information. So then I was like, all right, I reposted everything with no tags and just blacked everything out in solidarity. And then I began my workday. But then as I'm working and I'm just going through checking, social media and different things, then I start to see that people were really upset because at a time like this, when it is vital for our voices to be heard, why would we choose to then silence ourselves at this time and call it solidarity? And
I.
that bothered me. Um, we're in 2020, and we know that social media is the way of the world. It is the quickest and most efficient way for people to get information and to send information. And so for us to not use social media at a time like this, it didn't really make sense anymore to me. So I don't I thought I did my research properly. I thought that I knew what today was about. And then when I finally was off work and I started to see everything, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. Um, Today was about the music industry and about them not being self-serving and self-promoting and how they were going to take steps to support the movement. Everybody else could do whatever they wanted to do. And we're in the music industry as independent artists, but I think before I'm even an artist, I'm a Black man in America. So I still want to remain committed to the things that I've committed myself to do, which is Tired Tuesdays, and also adhering to the responsibility that I have with the platform that I have, with the little to whatever number of people that follow me. I still want to remain committed to them to disperse information, knowledge that I might have from my own experience, things that I've been taught, things that I've learned, and to edify and educate. I think that's my responsibility, me personally. And that's why I was like, let's still do this tonight. Even if nobody watches, it is what it is. But I felt the responsibility to at least come on and us have a dialogue if we can.
Right.
Or if someone else has a question that we can possibly try to answer.
Right.
What I've been noticing this week is that there's been a lot of questions that people have. And I think that we should be available, if we can, in whatever aspect, to try to answer them as best as possible. And even if we have questions, I know that you're feeling a lot, I'm feeling a lot, and I know that we process our emotions very differently. And maybe this is a way for us to be here for each other during this, as well as anyone who's following us. So that's really where I'm coming from for tonight's episode. I'll pause if you have anything to add.
I don't. Yeah, like I said, I have a lot of feelings. And I had so much to say yesterday, and I was trying to write everything down and make notes, and then I was like, no, I'm not even going to, because I want to just be able to just speak from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is going to stay with me, but today I just felt like, yeah, today I'll be honest with you, I wasn't ready to do this today. Just because of just everything that I felt. I had it in my mindset that we were just not going to do it today too as well. So like, I wanted to do some reading. I wanted to explore my history a little bit more, things that I may not know. I have a few books here that I just ordered that I was going to get into. Yeah, and that's why I had hit you, because I was like, because I was looking for the Willie Lynch, what is it, speech or whatever?
Speech, yeah.
Yeah, and so because for some reason it was seriously on my heart from last night, and I was Googling and I just could not remember what it was until finally I was like, "What? Can you help me?"
Yeah.
And I think, as much as they try to say that it's a hoax, it's not really what it is.
It's real.
That shit is so real, and I think that's something. Yeah, I think that's something that we need to really, really read up on. And it's the Willie Lynch speech, and it's a whole speech. This man came from the West Indies. He was down there he had a bunch of slaves, and up here in the South, they were all like, our slaves are getting unruly. We can't manage them. We don't know what to do. And this man said, "Oh, well, I have a way that I can make sure that everybody stays in line, and this will keep them in line for 300 years. And it was more, yeah. And this was a whole psychology, like psych thing. He worked on our psyche. He separated us mentally to be jealous of each other's color shades, to be jealous of each other's position,
our age,
young, our gender, all of it. It was such manipulation that we have carried with us. You know what I mean? And I think that that's at the heart of it all. And that's and
I feel you. I think regardless of whether it's real or not, first off, if it's real, it explains so much. If it's a hoax, I almost feel like it was written by a Black person. And the reason why I say that is because if we want to define racism and the after effects of slavery, who better to know this than a Black person to recount what has been done? And I honestly feel like if it is a hoax, even though I don't believe it's a hoax, it's probably required reading for Black America.
Especially right now.
Because it talks about all, like you said, like the different tactics that they used so that once slavery was abolished, the damage has already been done. And it's everlasting. So down
And we would
to
be enslaved here and here.
exactly. And the division that's created amongst ourselves is involved in that as well. And it's definitely something that we all need to read just so we can be aware of the enemy's devices.
Yeah. Yeah. And their tactics.
Yes.
And their tactics. Like, yeah. Yeah. Even with this, like I felt so bad. I felt so bad because I thought last night that I was doing a good thing. I was like, yeah, we're gonna black out, blah 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 blah. We for the cause, blah 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 blah. And then when I woke up this morning, I see all of this and I'm just like, I see a bunch of notifications in my thing talking about take off the Black Lives Matter hashtag. And I was like, shit, why? And as I started digging in, I was like, oh shit, we we got so fooled in
Yeah.
that moment. You know what I mean? Like thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to pause for the cause and, you know, this is going to be Blackout Tuesday. There was no need to put the Black Lives Matter, but we're all in that mindset. You start putting that hashtag. Then as you started seeing everything start to change, you can see it in your timeline. Like if you go to the hashtag itself and you just read down it, like you can see it. And now it's starting to be more sporadic. Now you get more information as what it was this morning. This morning, I swear I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And it was like in a matter of hours, like everything that we were trying to educate people on got erased. And
Exactly.
it was like, damn, we as a community have to be ahead of the game and
Yes.
we can't play this role of and I know right now everybody's out here protesting, but after the protest, what are we going to do? How are we going to organize? How are we going to set up? How are we going to figure out the plans to break down this system that refuses to take its knee off our neck?
Right.
We got to fight way differently now. It's
Yes.
more than just marching because
Yes.
they already destroying the marching. They
Yeah.
got all these different organizations within the marches that are making it terrible. Now all of a sudden the cause of it has been completely erased. All the news is talking about is rioters and looters.
We
No
have to
one's
get
talking about the reason why.
we have to get ahead of it, like you said, and I think it really comes down to us being smart with the tools that we have at our disposal. I think that our social media influencers, the ones that have the influence over the masses, they have to be the ones that get smart about how they use their social media. So if they're going to create a hashtag or they're going to create a movement, let's be very smart and meticulous about it because number one, we know that we don't own these platforms. So even if the hashtag was going to have some life to it, the algorithms and the owners of these platforms don't want to see certain things. And we know that Facebook owns Instagram, and we know that Facebook right now is in Donald Trump's pocket because of Mark Zuckerberg's refusal to do anything about Donald Trump. So Facebook is going to let Instagram push those posts down. And at
Yep.
the end of the day, we now have to get smarter about how we move, about what we post, how we post, when we post, so it's about us taking a step, taking a beat, and thinking before we do. And I'm talking about me included, because I
Mm-hmm.
just went right along with it, at
I sure
midnight. I'm
did
like,
too.
it's
I
time to
sure
go.
did
Let's
too.
black it out. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize what I was doing, you know?
Right.
Um, so one of the things that I also wanted to talk about today, and I knew I was going to want to talk about this when it happened, but like I've said before on here, I'm still blessed to be able to work from home during this pandemic. And I work for a tech company. And they decided to have these Chime meetings on video chat all day yesterday. And then they did an extra one for us today because of those of us that didn't work on Monday, because I don't work on Monday. So we had another one today. And all I'm going to say is, what I gained from this is that it is not our responsibility to teach non-Black people about Black history. As
Yeah.
much as I love having allyship and people that want to help, It is not my responsibility to tell you how. It is my responsibility to educate my fellow Black brothers and sisters about who we are, where we've been, and where we're supposed to be going. And while I appreciate my job putting this thing together and taking our ideas and things of that nature, it's still not my responsibility to tell them. I feel like, because there were a couple of white people in the chat that were talking about they just don't know what to do. They're just enraged and they're angry, but they come from places where they don't really have a lot of Black people in their lives. So, you know, it's hard for them because they don't know about our history. And I had to remind them, and I said, well, you know, Wikipedia is a thing. It's 2020. There's no more excuses. Find out, ask a question. But the responsibility is not on Black people to help you fix our problem that you created. It is up to you to do the work. It's up to you to do the research. It's up to you to find out. You know that Black history exists. Type it in Google. But to sit here as a grown adult and say that you don't know where to find stuff, that's retarded. And I hate to use that word because I know it's not PC, but it is retarded.
Right.
Where do you think you're going to get this information from?
Right.
And if you want to be an ally, that means you've got to strengthen your brain as well as your actions, not just your actions. It's cool to go out on the front line and support with us, but if you don't really know what you're supporting or know why you're supporting, your support really doesn't mean that much. So do the work. Go out and find out. They have books in libraries. They have books, you know, on tape. They have so many different resources that you can use to find out about how to truly be an ally and how to truly find out the history of racism in this country. Anyone in 2020 who says that they don't know, or they're ignorant, or they don't know how to talk about it, or they don't see race, or they don't know how to talk to their kids, I don't have any sympathy for you. Not anymore. Especially in a company that, as long as I've been there, I've dealt with racism. I've brought it up to HR. We've had seminars about it. And you still act like you have no idea what's going on and you don't know why cops are still killing Black men in the streets. Where have you been for the last 5 years of my employment there? Where it's been that way since year one. So at first I was like really happy that we were having the conversation and the dialogue. But after a while, I started to get upset because I'm like, y'all really sound ignorant. Like, where have you been?
But see, I have a stance double on that, and I want to just piggyback. Someone in here, I'll scroll up, but I always hit the button. But it was confusion with the whole blackout thing. I think it happened too quickly before the correct information got out there. So this way, we all understood exactly what was happening.
Right.
It was like a day of information, and then all of a sudden, it was like blackout. You know what I mean? But to piggyback off of what you just said, see, I stand on it both ways. Like, for me, I'm like, if somebody is having trouble that is a white person and they just don't know what to do, these households have been taught it's a process of deprogramming for them that has to happen. So in the midst of that deprogramming, a lot of times people don't know where to begin. And even though things are at their fingertips, it's just like, well, here, start there. That's where you just need to start. If we just point them in the right direction, they no longer have no excuse. But it's like, for us, they don't understand what we've gone through, especially like the newer generation of white children. Well, the newer generation of white children probably do, because they're more so on the front lines. They get it. They have more Black friends. They're more involved in Black culture than their parents. You know what I mean? So they get it. So, but their parents, on the other hand, don't know. Could have been brought up in households where Black people, they didn't have no Black folks on their street, and, you know, or racist households where, you know, they know it's wrong, but they've been, you know, and when you're in the nest of hatred, it's kind of hard to deprogram. So it's like, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, like, it's not my responsibility to teach you. But on the other hand, it's like, but we ain't gonna get nowhere if we don't at least start with, like, here, start there.
Yeah. One of the people in the chat, they said, not this chat, but in my job chat, they said that, you know, over the weekend, you had two different ends of the spectrum of advancement. One, they were just able to send a rocket into space.
Right.
We're able to send people out into outer space, into orbit, to dock with a space station. We have enough intelligence and education to do that. Why do we not, on the other end of the spectrum, have enough education and intelligence to deal with racism? And my response was, well, and because somebody else said, it's so hard to deal with because, for a long time, I never saw color and I never knew what to do about this and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, here's the thing. Because she said, it's easy over the last several years to deal with women's rights and deal with gay rights and other, animal rights and all this kind of stuff. But when it comes to Black rights, I just don't understand why it's so hard. And I said, well, because when it comes to racism in America,
Wow.
that is the one thing that nobody wants to deal with because it is the hardest thing to deal with. It requires so much deprogramming. It requires so much distance from what people's normal way of life is in order to deal with it, because it's our original sin as a country. It's the one thing that this country was built on that we cannot get rid of, and until it's acknowledged properly, it's never going to be gone. But what we can do is deal with gay rights. What we can do is deal with women's rights, because we can see those and we can understand those, because they don't affect my whiteness. They don't affect my ignorance. They don't affect my privilege, So when it comes to Black people, because we can't hide our skin, we can hide our sexuality, we can hide, or hide behind women's rights as far as, white women is one thing, Black women is another thing. So women's rights right now, it might include everybody, but for a long time it didn't include Black women. So we can hide behind a lot of other things that are easier to deal with, but we cannot deal with the one thing that is the hardest to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's still an issue. So when
Yeah.
people say, I don't understand why this is still going on, that's why, because no one's tried. And they haven't tried not the way that they should have. We've done peaceful and violent protests for decades. We've done sit-ins, we've done marches, we've done every single thing that we know how to do in this country, including tear shit up. And it's still an issue.
Right.
Right. So at some point, this is why I say it's not my responsibility anymore, because we've done everything. We've tried to teach. We have examples of Black excellence and good Black people. We've had a Black president. We have so many celebrities that have been so successful that white people love. And they love to celebrate that part of it, but they don't want to deal with the griminess of racism. And that's where the disconnect is. So, yeah.
Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the main things about what you said is white people don't want to give up their status either. It's been so embedded in their DNA that they are supreme. They are top tier. They have went all over this planet to make sure that they have embedded their supremacy in every
facet
country
of the world.
Every facet of the world.
Yeah.
And to then give that up and say that you're equal to me, whether a white person knows it or not. And I think it has a lot to do with corporations, with what we constantly see on television, what our billboards say as you drive down the street, what's presented in magazines, our movies, all of it is projecting an image of what Black people are. We even do it for ourselves. Like, even there was a movie on Netflix that I saw that I always forget the guy's name, that was featured in Moonlight. That was the actor in Moonlight.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw that movie come up and I was like, and I watched the trailer and I was like, here we go, another gangbanger movie. Like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this. And these are the images that are constantly being displayed. If white people do not see anything else, that's what makes it harder for them to understand. So one last thing that we got to do, I feel, is that we got to break it down to the point of, you want to trade shoes with us? That should just be the response. When they go, well, I don't know what to do, then trade shoes with us.
Yeah.
You want to be on this side? I'll be on that side for a week.
Yeah.
And then listen to their response and then go, okay, that's where you start.
Like maybe someone needs to create like a virtual reality video game
Oh,
where
listen,
white people get to be black in the game and experience,
listen,
you
listen.
know,
Because me
racism.
seriously, I would love to know what it's like to be white for a week.
Someone needs to develop that game. Like,
Right.
I,
And
because, yeah.
seriously, there was a photographer that did I forget his name. Oh my God, where he did this whole series of pieces where
Mm-hmm.
the roles were reversed. It was
Mm-hmm.
black people hanging, and it was black people in the KKK mask, and
Mm-hmm.
it was black people whipping the white people, and they were out in the slip. I gotta find those pictures, and I'm gonna post them. I'm gonna
Yeah.
post them on my page because that's where the education goes into, because you don't want to see that stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody in here also said, you know, they're trying to erase our history out of the history books, and that
Mm-hmm.
is another thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're trying to act like slavery didn't exist because they don't want to have that as an excuse anymore.
They don't want to be able. They don't want to have to acknowledge their guilt or
No,
their
because
complicity in it. Like
because
I
if that
know.
happens, if they
Yeah.
acknowledge it, then they know they have to give up their status.
Yeah. They have to give up
They
their
do, and they
comfort.
don't want that. They
Yeah.
don't want that. And that's the mindset that we're fighting. And I think once every black person understands, it's more just about equality, it's more about breaking that mindset, saying, you're not supreme.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've they started off the meeting at my job asking everyone to say one word about how they're feeling. And when it got to my turn, I used the word tired. And not because I was trying to plug Tired Tuesdays, but because I am 36 years old. I'm going to be 37. And I told him in the chat, I said, I have been dealing with racism since I was 4 years old. My very first experience of dealing with racism was when my sister and I were at the library, the Plainfield Public Library, with my mom. And you know how that library has the fountain downstairs, but you come in on the top floor, you know. But the children's section was downstairs where the fountain was.
Right, right.
So you can either get down there by using the elevator, or you can get down there using the stairs. So we used the elevator. And we had always used the elevator. This one particular day, we were trying to come back upstairs, and we were going to use the elevator. We pressed the button, and the doors opened, and there was a white man, I guess, who was waiting for the elevator as well, and he pushed us off to the side and said, "This is not for you." And he made us take the stairs. So we told my mom, and I think she went to find the man to tell him, like, you don't do that to my kids, and made him, like, you know, come downstairs and let us get on the elevator. Like, she made a whole thing about it. That was the very first time that I ever experienced racism. And I feel like I've experienced some form of it, whether covertly or openly, every year of my life since. I've been chased by skinheads in Virginia. I have been laughed at and talked about in high school. I have been singled out as the token black person in high school. I have been embarrassed by teachers and managers. I have been alienated from other artists. I have been duped by other artists and, you know, white artists and producers that I've worked with. And I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of having to exist for their approval. I'm tired of dealing with the mandates and the oppressions that are put on Black people, whether it be personally in everyday life, whether it be in the workforce, whether it be in music, you know. And I'm tired. So when I see injustices happen where someone's getting shot, I'm grateful that I'm not one of them. But at the same time, I feel like I am one of them, because here we go again, where someone is devaluing Black people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, praise God, I've never been shot. Praise God, I've never been arrested, but I have been profiled, and I have been scared to death to know what's going to happen next. I remember one night, me and you were coming home from church. We always tell this story. When we were coming home from a church event, and you were dropping me off because you were driving, and you didn't break any laws. You didn't do anything wrong. We turned in front of my house, and the cops were sitting there at an intersection waiting for us. Pulled us over. I'm in front of my house. And I don't remember what they said. Did they say something like you like came through a stop sign or something like that? Or was rolling
Yeah,
stop?
they said that I was speeding, and I was
Yeah.
going like 15 down the street, and I was like, "What are you talking about speeding?" Like,
Yeah. And
yeah,
then they proceeded
we
to,
fought the ticket.
yeah, they proceeded to like really kind of just antagonize us.
Right, and it was like,
You
"Where are you
know?
coming from? What are you
Yeah.
doing?"
And
And
I'm
then
like, we're coming.
we were coming from the church event, and we had donuts in the back seat, and he was like, "You
Yeah.
got donuts back there? Like, where are you coming from?" Like, and I was just like, "What? Like, why'd you pull me over?"
He didn't want you to get your license because it was in the garment bag because you had changed your clothes. He
Right.
was upset about that. I'm like, I live here. He's dropping me off. He didn't care about that. I couldn't get out the car.
Nope.
Like, and it's just, and then even past that, when we were going to your house and you pulled into your driveway and then the cop came
Oh,
in behind you
oh
and
my
blocked the
God.
cars. Yeah.
Yes. Oh
Because
my
he
God.
thought
I
that, you did
completely
something
blanked that
wrong.
out.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. And that's when Plainfield started getting all those white cops out of nowhere. It was like all the black cops seemed to just not exist anymore in Plainfield. And it was like an influx of white cops, and it was just so much going on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I remember that. I completely blocked that out. I was
It's
so angry by that. Oh my God.
because they had no reason to
There
pull
was
us
no
over.
reason whatsoever. I literally pulled in the driveway.
Yeah. And it's like, at what point do the people that sign up for these jobs say, oh, I'm here to harass black people? And they're okay with that.
Right. Right.
Your mom is mad you didn't tell her that story.
I did tell you that story. She probably forgot too.
Mm,
You probably forgot, Mom. I did tell you that story
yeah.
because I was pissed about it. I was pissed about it. Um,
I mean, I'm sure we both, separately have tons of stories that we can tell about experiencing racism, about being profiled, about, what I wanted to ask you?
yeah.
You lived in Switzerland for some time. Did you ever experience racism out there?
You know what? I did. I did.
Was it different from here?
No,
Really?
I did.
Okay.
Um, we were out on the street. We were coming from somewhere. And Switzerland, I was in Zurich.
Mm.
And they do this thing where they start checking everybody's passports to make sure that you're legal.
Okay.
And I did not know that they did that.
Mm.
And my friend at the time was trying to explain to me what was going on. And I had my passport on me. I just forgot what pocket I had put it in.
Mm.
And so the struggle to try to find it, the guy started trying to get aggressive. I had no idea what he was saying because his English was broken. And so my friend was trying to explain, like, he has his passport. He's with me. This is what it is. Like, let him find what the passport is.
Right.
He was close to getting like really, really aggressive. His
Mm.
tone had changed. It had got dark. You know what I mean? Like German, uh, 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 the German language is already rough in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when he started getting a little bit more aggressive, and that the panic in my head, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in another fucking country. Like, what the fuck is about to happen to me? But thank God I had a friend with me that passes white, even though he's Spanish, he passes for white.
Mm-hmm.
And he stood his ground and was the shield in that particular situation. Who knows how that would have ended? But
He
that
was
was
right.
that was the only real time.
Yeah.
That was the only time. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. Like I said, white people have plugged and rooted their supremacy everywhere. Like Asian people, you're more successful if your eyes aren't as chinky and they're more round. Indian people, the lighter you are, the more successful you can be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even in Brazil, like the darker you are, they pulling people out of their apartments. Like out of their places of living because they're darker and they don't want you to pass by them on the street.
Yeah.
Like everywhere has this program that white is right. And we got to break that mentality. We so got to break this mentality.
Yeah. Because it's not
Like,
just that white is wrong or right. It's that everyone is okay.
yes.
Like,
And
we're
that's the
all
thing.
allowed to exist here. If we weren't, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
That's the thing that I just don't understand, is that this idea of supremacy, like, who was the originator of that said, you know what? White is the best thing. Who said that? Who lied to you and told you that?
Right.
Like, it irks me. Speaking of Hitler, so yesterday, our idiot in chief commanded, or through the attorney general, commanded that peaceful protesters be tear gassed so that he could walk from the White House to the First John Episcopalian Church or Episcopal Church to do a photo op holding the Bible, and then walked his happy ass back to the White House. After he made a speech about fire and brimstone, law and order, if y'all don't get it together, I'm going to send the military out. Now, this is going to be a little bit of, a trip down a rabbit hole. But we both talked about this toward the beginning of the pandemic, which was the possibility of martial law. And if you look at what's going on, there are less and less and less reports and hashtags and posts about the coronavirus. The only thing that we're focused on right now are these protests and the looting and rioting. I'm not saying that it's calculated, but we have to be very, very alert and mindful of what we see.
Yep.
The picture that they posted of the officer that killed George Floyd, his mugshot looks absolutely nothing like the video, or the person in the video who had his knee on his neck. And to me, it's almost like, okay, did you guys plan this to take attention away from COVID? Did you guys plan this so that everybody would be out in the street to get sick? Did you plan this so that, you could institute longer curfews and martial law if necessary? Was this thing planned? Was everything planned? And it's not going the way we expected it to go, and maybe it's not going the way they expected it to go. Or is it going exactly how they planned?
Yeah.
Down to the confusion around this Blackout Tuesday situation and wanting to silence all the information about Black Lives Matter. So it's very, very telling that regardless of what's going on, we are still not in control in this country. Someone is still pulling the strings.
And somebody is playing off of the mindset. This is why we have to get hip to the manipulation and the control of it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when it came down to it, as soon as there were protests and we're out in these streets peaceful, all of a sudden the police officers get aggressive, which caused now the people to get aggressive. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden media goes, oh my God, there's riots. But this is retaliation to officers that are first getting aggressive. In LA, they box them all they box them in a section in Los Angeles. Nobody talks about that. When you box people in, all of a sudden there's going to be panic. There's going to be people trying to push through and be like, yo, get me the fuck out of here. Like, what are you trying to do? I'm not trying to die. Like, are you serious? This is the type of thing, and I told you this from the beginning, that I felt like this whole thing was an agenda. I felt like this was, I saw a picture, I think it was Parlay who had posted this. Mm-hmm. It was a cartoon picture that was saying the steps of what the procedures were.
Yes.
And that we're now in the vote Trump out of office step, and then the next step is going to be vaccines. That scares the living shit out of me. I'm not going to front right now. That scares the living shit out of me. I don't want to be injected with shit I don't know what's in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is where now martial law, because now you'll have people going behind it. The majority will then convince everybody, oh my God, rioters, looters, we do need the military out here to gain control of the people. I don't want my city being torn down, blah, 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 blah. And if you get enough people, enough white folks, more so, to sign a fucking petition, the next thing you know, the governors all have to sign the seal of approval. Yes, martial law. Then the next thing, in the midst of that martial law, they're going to be talking about, oh my God, there was a rise in COVID.
They're talking about that now.
And then all of a sudden, we're all lined up in front of fucking Walmart getting injected. Because if anybody don't know, Walmart is going to be the place where we all going to get these vaccines.
Walmart's going to be the place where we get the vaccine. And it's also going to be the place where they put like the makeshift jails.
Yep. Because they're all built like prisons. Exactly. Next time you walk into a Walmart, look at it. They're all built like prisons. Mm-hmm. So, and they're huge as all get out. Yeah. There's a reason. There's a reason. So,
Mom just said vote. I know a lot of people are agreeing with us in the chat.
I wasn't even reading. I've
been watching, and the one
there's also,
thing that I want to talk, huh?
Yeah, there's also something else I want to say too as well. But yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that I want to talk about, and not because we're going to be self-serving, not because I'm promoting anything. I don't have nothing to promote right now. Not today. We did all that over the weekend. But this Blackout Tuesday situation, according to the people that created it or created the hashtag of, the show must be stopped or paused, was dealing with the music industry. And if anyone follows me, I don't know if you saw, but I put up a poll on my page that talks about whether or not you would rather continue to give your money to the powers that be in the music industry, which is the DSPs like Apple Music, Spotify, all that kind of stuff, which takes a huge cut of sales, where the artists get fractions of a cent for their royalties or their sales, or would you rather give that money directly to the artists who create the music, but it would require you to have to use a separate platform to get the music downloaded to your phone or whatever your device of choice is? And I haven't checked the numbers, but as of this morning, roughly 80% of the votes were on the side of continuing to use the DSPs and not give the money directly to the artists. And that has saddened me because, once again, we are so desensitized to the plight of marginalized people based on the things that we want to stay comfortable with. Just as white people need to be able to get uncomfortable with the history of racism. I'm sorry, y'all. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff on my street today. Just as white people have to be uncomfortable to deal with racism, Black people now also have to be willing to give up our own comforts in order to fight against oppression. That means we're going to have to be able to give up buying the latest clothes, getting our wigs and hair done every single week. I just got my hair cut when I wasn't supposed to. But we have to.
But you went to a Black barbershop.
I did go to a Black barbershop, and I made sure to spend my money with a Black person. But we have to be willing to give up our comforts in order to see real change happen. I know that we have a Blackout Day coming up on July 7th, where we're only supposed to spend money with Black-owned businesses. I plan on doing that. I don't need it to just be a day. I need our Black dollars to be exponentially spent with Black-owned businesses on a daily basis, as best as we possibly can.
And this is why my prayer on my post that I recently did was that we would embody the spirit of Black Wall Street again.
Yes.
That spirit would rise up in every single one of us.
Yes.
Because we can build our empire. We have outlets.
Yes. We have outlets, we have influence, we have dollars. The black dollar is what are we saying? It's the most powerful spending dollar in the country.
Hell yeah.
Everything runs off of what we buy,
Yep.
specifically black people. They don't
Yep.
make video games, they don't make music, they don't make clothes, they don't even make food unless they know the black folk are going to buy it. Imagine how you think they got the Popeyes chicken sandwich to go so hard.
Yep.
Because they knew that black people were going to buy it.
Yep.
Why do Jordans sell out and there's lines going around the store in the middle of a pandemic? Because they know that black people are going to buy this stuff.
Yep.
You know, so we have to start supporting our own. Our friend Corey today actually made us aware of
the most amazing thing.
I had no idea that it existed, and the person who created it is someone that I know personally. And they're from Newark, New Jersey. They created a black social media network called blackjunction.com. It looks like Facebook, it acts like Facebook, but it's black owned and for black people.
And black developed.
Black developed.
Like,
they have an app for
how
Android.
incredible.
The iOS app is soon to come, but you can always use the web-based version of the site. I saw that they had a link to support. I immediately gave them $100.
There you go. There you go. I didn't even see that link. I need to go. I need to definitely support to that.
Let me type this in real quick. It is called blackjunction.com.
When I tell it's almost identical to Facebook. Almost identical to Facebook. It is the most incredible thing ever. And this is a platform for ourselves. Again, black owned, black developed. This is incredible. This is where we need to support. Get the hell off of Facebook, where they suppress your voice, where they suppress your companies, your own businesses. You know what I mean? They only dish it out to a certain amount of people. Even on Instagram, the same thing. You know what I mean? I'd rather put my money into our own.
Yes.
There's also...
Wait. I've never paid for anything on social media other than promotions for when I'm promoting a project. But I haven't paid to use any apps or whatever. This is the first app that I've ever paid for, and I know I'm not going to get nothing back for it other than just the app.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Which is why I'm 2 seconds away.
Matt, can you pin it? Let me see. Let me pin it.
I can't pin it, but you probably have to type it on yours because you're on the main one.
Yeah, I'll pin it. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you pinned the wrong one. That's S is supposed to be an A.
Oh, sorry.
That's my bad. I misspelled it. The second one is there.
Okay.
Yeah. I am 2 seconds away from removing all of my music from the DSPs. That includes Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all of that. And to be quite honest with you, until they change streaming laws, until they change how much artists get paid for their work, their creative art that they own, we should not keep giving money to the agencies that don't care about us. I forget what the chart is. If you go to my Instagram and on my highlights, there's one that's called The Truth. And I talk about, I think the cover photo is a graph. It's from last year, but it's a graph of what the actual streaming numbers equal to minimum wage. It's horrible. So, yeah, Ty, definitely. That's what's up, Ty. I'm going to read your post. I think that for me now, if you like my music, if you want to hear my music, you're going to have to get it from me.
Word.
So you're going to have to go to my website on my platform. And if it takes an extra couple of steps to get it to your phone, do the extra couple steps. We're not making nearly as much money as we should be off of putting our music out into the airwaves.
Right.
These companies, these powers that be, are literally eating off of us. And not only are they eating off of our lives, they're eating off of our creativity. That's a God-given gift. Why should somebody who had nothing to do with it be able to make so much money off of what we create? So in conjunction with going to blackjunction.com, I am going to be making the move to make my music available solely from me. The only person I'm going to be paying right now to warehouse my music will be Wix.com, because that's where my website is hosted. And unless I find another Black-owned hosting site, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
If you want this music, if you want to pay for it directly, you're going to get it from me. You're not going to get it from iTunes anymore. You're not going to get it from Spotify.
There is also, if you see that I have pinned down here, down below, I just discovered this is a Black-owned music app. It's only for iOS at the moment. They're making their Android version at the moment. This is Black-owned and, again, Black-developed. It is a whole site where you can actually host your music, place your videos, upload your music. They're going to be connecting to the Spotify's and all of this type of stuff, so you can do your distribution through that if you want to, or you can do it directly off the website. All you have to do, go down here to Huddle Music, create a profile. This is Black owned. When I tell you, it's incredible, and they specialize more so in the indie artists. They're giving way more attention to the indie artists. And so if the site sees, if they see you catching on, they immediately call you up. They will fly out to you and do interviews with you. Okay? I recently just did an interview with them. And when I tell you, it's an amazing platform. So when I tell you, you guys, please explore that, set up your profiles. That's what it's all about. Because
I'm doing that right after we finish this,
because
this is the wave.
I'm not using TuneCore, and they said that once they have their connections into everything, they're going to be making sure that you'll be able to change your bio through the app, and it will be distributed to all those other networks. You'll be able to change your pictures and all kinds of other stuff like that. They're working on all of those things. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. So we have our outlets. It's just about getting the word out.
And honestly, this is where it starts. And he can tell you, Friday night I called him because I was a fucking wreck. I wanted to go downtown and tear shit up. That's how angry I was.
I was too.
And I needed to figure out another constructive way of dealing with this. And I know that my influence is online. I know that my influence is through my music. And so that's the best way that I know how to do things outside of going down and protesting or whatever. And wisdom also dictates to me. And I was telling them, for work, that I have a very sarcastic mouth. So if I was to go down and protest, somebody would say something to me, I say something back, I'd be the next hashtag. And we're not doing that.
Okay.
So this is how we do this. This is how we get things done, by creating our own platforms, supporting these platforms, and then spreading the word.
Yep.
This is it. This is these two sites right here could change the entire world.
What?
And not only are they Black owned and Black operated and Black developed, but they're also Black monitored. And that makes a big difference as well, because they can see what we're posting, what we're adding to their platforms, and they can already know that it's coming from a Black perspective. So there may not be a need to suppress any algorithms. There might not be a need to hide posts, as the other big companies are doing. So this is where we can find somewhat of our respite, or some of our freedom to continue to express ourselves in a world that won't let us.
And this is where we start using our code words, and we can set up our own little spots without the outside influence of anybody else. You know what I mean? Because I was even having that discussion this morning, where I was like, there needs to be a language. Like, we need to get back to slavery, when they used to sing the code words through the hymns. You know what I mean? When it was like, all right, we're gonna leave tonight at 8:00, and there was a special way they would sing the verse. You know what I mean? And it was like, all right, when the sun goes down, you know what I mean? Like, boom, when Master park his car, that's when we out of here. Like, seriously, we need to create this language.
Master didn't have a car, though. He had a horse.
Whatever.
I know what you mean.
Right. But still, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But it's just the science of it all. Like, we need to be one step ahead of them, because they are 5 steps ahead of us. Yeah. We got to be a step ahead of them, like, because they are working overtime to make sure that we are suppressed.
We are just as smart, if not smarter. We are just as resourceful, if not more. We are just as strong, if not stronger. and we are just as resilient, if not more.
Yep.
And the quicker we realize this and put that to action, the quicker we will see some changes. We both have been preaching and saying these things for years. And I think me being tired is not because I'm tired of saying it, but I'm tired of people not getting it. And that's on both sides. You know, I want white people to get this thing and understand it, but I also want Black people to get this thing and understand it as well.
It's important.
It's important for everyone to understand where we are right now and to really do the work that's needed to make changes.
And can I say something, because we have about 4 more minutes left. I mean, we can come back on if you guys want us to continue this conversation, but I think we might be down to a closing. Yeah. But one of the main things that I saw, I'm not even going to say her name because it doesn't even make any sense. I'm not even going to do that. But at the end of the day, I saw a post from somebody who's very influential in the Black community. And she made a post and she said, just so that you know, everyone, this whole rebellion, this whole revolution is going to be led by a Black woman. And brothers, if you have an attitude with that, then you need to check it at the door.
Willie Lynch.
When I tell you,
from within side.
Exactly. When I tell you, it was like, what was the point in saying that? Who cares who it's led by as long as it's led by us? We have to get out of that mentality of separating ourselves per gender. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen even on these posts where everybody's like, well, don't forget about Breonna Taylor. It can't just be about George. Like, we know this. That's why we're protesting. It's about Black lives. Black lives. That includes everybody. Like, stop this separation of gender. We are all Black and we are all struggling out here. We just need to have each other's back. So to say something like that and immediately create division, it was like, oh my God, like, you literally, with this statement, you set us back. You set us back.
Yeah. It's, and that's the issue. I don't know if my video got messed up because I just had a phone call come through, but
no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. That's the crux of all of this, is being unified, especially us being unified as Black people. That includes men, women, gay, straight, trans, mixed people. It includes all of us.
Yes, we are all in the struggle.
All of us. Because
again, and it's not about who has it worse. It's not about who has it worse.
Because again,
as soon as they see this, you got it worse.
Exactly.
You got it worse.
They don't know your gender until you open your mouth. They don't know your sexuality until you open your mouth. They see Black first.
And that's it. That's all we need to be concerned about. I don't care if it was led by a man or a woman, as long as we are still fighting this fight to bring down this system of suppression.
Yes.
Whew. Okay, I had to get that out of my system.
Not a problem.
I had to, because I was done with that. When I saw that, I got so angry. I was like, we got to get out of this mentality that one gender has it worse than the other one. Yeah. It's not about that.
This is where I want to go back to the times of Marcus Garvey and true organization.
Yeah.
You know, where we all are following the same set of rules for our people, so that we can collectively be one giant, powerful fist.
Yep.
In the right direction.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So we got 1 minute, you guys. Again, please, to piggyback on what we began this whole conversation with, please look up the Willie Lynch speech. Mm-hmm. That is mandatory reading by every Black person. Share that, because regardless of if it is false or not, it is very important reading. Yes. And it breaks down everything. Again, the links down here for Black Facebook is blackjunction.com. Mm-hmm. And for all the artists in here to put their music up, Huddle Music. We got 15 seconds. Nat, if you want to say anything.
I just want to say, everybody stay encouraged, stay up. This will not be forever. We will get through this at some point.